Hi, you guys. Welcome back to Undoing the Complex with
Yes.
Chantel and Dante.
Hey.
I feel like we need to stop apologizing for taking hiatuses.
At some point, you just got to change. You can't just keep saying sorry.
And maybe
I'm
people don't
sorry.
even notice. Maybe people have no idea
Oh,
that our weekly podcast is now bi or tri-weekly.
Yeah, I don't think that they notice, but the algorithms notice. And they're like, okay, you don't want to be consistent. We got you. Go back down to 3,057.
3,057 what?
Like on the charts.
Oh, there's charts?
Yeah, I don't know. Algorithms are not loyal to you.
Anyways, we're happy to be back. We just came out of a tender moment between us two. So
Yes.
I might have boogies in my nose.
Boogies?
We call them in Canada, we call them boogers.
Y'all try to make it sound cute. A booger is a booger.
Okay, no, but Zai, our 4-year-old, says burger and booger simultaneous. It sounds the same. Like I ate a booger.
Oh,
and I'm like, ew, you ate your boogers? And he's like, no, I ate a booger. A burger.
Yeah.
But anyways, we just had to connect a little bit before this podcast, share some of our feelings.
Yes, because we prioritize connection over productivity. I'm saying that as a declaration because Chantel is like, do we? Are you sure?
When you said it, I was like, yeah, you say the we.
Yeah.
I do. Obviously, I prioritize connection over productivity.
But those are the moments where you prove it true is when you choose it when it's hard. And it's like, we got a lot to get done, but
I mean, I was looking at the clock every time the minute ticked by, but I was still being present.
I know. Yeah.
But I love you.
I love you too.
And we figured it out.
We did. And we're more connected because of it. We see each other. We feel known and loved. Yay.
Do you?
I do. That's why I'm saying it. Yeah. I do.
Okay. Well, today we're going to do a fun episode, a 2-part Q&A episode. A few weeks ago, I asked on Instagram, just ask us your questions and we're going to answer some of them on the podcast. So that is what we're going to do today.
All right.
Are you ready?
I am. Okay. So
ready to be vulny?
Yeah. You're basically going to ask the questions and then we'll answer them together.
We're going to answer them?
Yeah.
All right. The first question is, I wanted to start off with a fun one and not just go straight to the...
Do it.
No. Yeah.
No, start with the fun. Yeah.
Well, the fun one was, what is an embarrassing moment with your spouse? But neither of us could remember an embarrassing moment.
An embarrassing moment. I'll try to think of it right now.
I honestly think the embarrassing moments for me come, and this isn't like a LOL embarrassing moment, but like a humbling embarrassing moment. And it kind of just happened when we were having our conversation before this, which is when I kind of come into a disagreement and I kind of am guarded and a little bit self-protective. And then you go out of your way to humble yourself and hear me out and give space for me. And I could cry right now, but this is supposed to be the fun, lighthearted, embarrassing moment.
That is, no, because I'm thinking about that, like if it was reversed, that is embarrassing, when you're like macho, like, don't do this
like
to me.
I think it would be embarrassing if you could hear the internal dialogue inside my head and like
of how the conversations are gonna go,
right? And then you come in all soft and tender and create space for me, and then I have to like eat my words, but I don't have to eat my words because I never spit them out.
It's like the other day where we're at youth, and there's this moment we got a corn dog truck at youth. Also, those corn dogs were really
so good,
but I did not. I'm not going to even go into it. You know exactly what I'm talking about. So we're at this, we're at youth, and there's this like corn dog, what do you call it?
Truck.
Corn dog truck. And Chantel's like, I'm hanging out with the teenagers, being the youth leader. And
Chantel, and listen, I was checking the teenagers in, but Mama's pregnant and Mama wanted a corn dog.
And she kept calling over saying, babe, can you get me a corn dog?
And I was like texting him, like, get me a corn dog.
And I'm like, chill. They're not even ready yet.
Post.
But I try to tell you, like, they're still cooking it. Like, nobody's in line. Like, I will get you a corn dog.
But then once people started lining up, there was 7 people already in front.
Yeah.
And you know, with food trucks, you're like, it could either be quick or you could be there all night.
You can be waiting forever. So that's true. So I go in line. I'm waiting in line to go get a corn dog, and a lady walks up to me, a mom, and she is like, "Hey, I have an extra corn dog. Like, do you want it?" Because I bought too many, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's amazing." And then I look over and see my wife, and I tell her, "Actually, my wife is pregnant and hungry. Could she have it instead?" She was like, "Oh yeah," and she was like, "Okay, I'll take it over to her."
So then in my scene, I'm sitting there waiting for my corn dog. I'm texting him like, "Babe, give me my corn dog," and I'm like motioning him over to the truck, and then I'm just sitting there waiting, and then this mom comes up to me and gives me a corn dog, and I'm like, "Oh, that's so sweet of you." And I turn around, I'm like, "Babe, see, look, she got me a corn dog even though you didn't get me one."
And then y'all know I felt so good in this moment, and I delivered my moment. And I'm like, actually, I'm the one who sent her for you to get that corn dog.
And then that's the moment when I ate my words.
Yeah.
And then I ate my corn dog.
Yeah. But your face was it was a really good face. I
enjoyed it.
I did.
So that's like my embarrassing moment. I mean, it's not really an LOL embarrassing moment. I'm sure we have more. I don't know if you can think of one.
I don't.
Like when you fart in front of me?
No, I don't get embarrassed by that anymore.
Yeah.
If it no. If it slips out when I don't intend it to.
I was gonna say the one time that happened with me in front of you.
If it happens when that was funny. That was embarrassing. You were so embarrassed. I covered you though. I got you.
Because he was giving. Maybe it's too much.
Oh, you're gonna. Go ahead. Oh, I wasn't gonna be the one. I wasn't gonna be the one to share that. Listen, wait. Before you even say this,
cry.
Can you imagine if I shared that moment before you gave me permission? That would be the end of me.
Oh yeah, of course not. But I'm like, I'm more of an open book than you are.
But that's one of those stories where like, if this was Flip, I would never share that because that makes me feel so out of.
But I'm not going to share the details of it. But
okay.
Basically, he was just giving me a massage, and then I was falling asleep. And as I fell asleep, I don't know if this ever happens to you in your sleep where you're like halfway in the dreamscape, but you're like still partially there, and then you fart.
You had a release as you were.
Okay, but I'm also going to preface this with the fact that I never fart.
Yeah.
Right? Tell the people.
Yo, it is actually true. Like she never. I thought it was like.
He thought I was lying when we first got married.
Yeah.
When I said like I don't get gas.
Girl, you will slip up at some point, and time goes on, and I'm like, oh my god, I think you only fart like 3 times a year, like because I log them, like. Whereas me, I'm like,
that's 3 times before you even roll out of bed.
First of all, it ain't that bad. I'm not like on the scale of flabbergasters. On that scale, I'm like a 7.
7?
Yes.
What are the 10s like?
I've been around 10s. And it's like they breathe, they fart. They breathe, they fart, they breathe. But that was a funny moment. Oh, but for me, it's embarrassing if that moment happens when I'm not prepared for it. So if it slips out when I didn't intend it to,
right, like that
I'm like,
massage.
Oh, dang it! Yeah, didn't expect that. Like we're both surprised. Like I'm as surprised as you are surprised. Versus me, like giving a little push, but not like too much, but like enough to know, like, oh, I created this in a sense, or I assisted. Like in those moments.
I'm happy we started with this question. Because we needed to laugh too after that convo we had before this. Yes. We were coming in pretty serious.
Yeah. And it's like when you get married, you realize that, everybody does the stuff. Like everybody
except
poops, everybody farts except Chantel. Unless she's like falling asleep like right before that rim. But yes.
All right. Question number 2.
All right.
What are some of the little things that have helped you fall more in love with your spouse?
I think those moments.
When you fart?
No, when you fart.
Listen, we don't even let our kids say the word fart. So it's one of the F words.
You don't let our kids say the word fart. Because when it's just me and the boys.
I don't want my kids going around being like, I just farted.
They're boys.
Because if you give them the language, they're going to overuse it.
I know, but yeah.
Listen, we weren't even allowed to say fart. My cousins weren't allowed to say toot. They had to say pooter.
My kids, y'all are hearing this right now. My kids will never say what you said, poofer, pooter. My kids will not say somebody pootered. Who pootered? What?
Listen, we grew up in really Christian homes. There was a lot of words we weren't allowed to, so we found other ways.
This Christian home will not be saying pootered. But falling in love. Now I don't fully like falling in love versus like choosing love, all of that. We understand that. But we're just talking about those moments where like the romance is there, and those moments of like you're looking at each other with googly eyes like we are now.
It's when you leave little notes for me in the morning times, and you write notes on the counter, not on the actual counter, but like you leave notes for me on the counter, and you set up my coffee, like you have my grinder there with my beans and my cup out, and you put a little note beside it. Or when you like leave me trails of notes, so that like when I go to the bathroom to get ready, there's a note. When I pour my coffee, there's a note. When I like go to do something, there's a note.
Yeah,
that's one of them.
I just left you one like
I know the other day. Also, when you buy me kombucha, when you come home and you have kombucha, and I see like a thing of pineapples in the fridge.
Yeah, it's hard because I'm like that can easily become a habit, you know. And
I'm
then
okay
like
with that.
it loses. All right, great. I guess
also,
me
when you
personally,
buy me shoes.
Yeah, I guess me personally, and maybe this is like those moments, but like I love the element of like, oh, I wasn't expecting this and it happened,
Right?
Or like, oh, that hasn't happened in a long time, and you just randomly thought about doing it. But yeah, I would say the moments that maybe I felt just that the fireworks going off, or you know, moments where I'm like just looking at you, would probably be like when you just randomly celebrate me. Or those moments where you just like, just shower your affection of how much you appreciate me. I don't know if that answers the question. I think we're talking about what makes us feel loved.
No, just some of the little things that have helped you fall more in love with your spouse. Like everybody knows that like you fall in love with your spouse or choose in love, whatever, because they're kind and honest and they love Jesus and they are.
Yeah, I got it. I got a clear answer. I would say like the moments where we're like dying laughing together. There's nobody else around. There's no other motivation. It's just me and you, just like crying, laughing at something.
Like when we watch the carpool karaoke with Matthew McConaughey.
Yes, and we literally have to pause it because we are both crying.
All right, now y'all are just in our inside joke. Okay, but if you've ever seen the carpool karaoke with Matthew McConaughey and Snoop Dogg, it'll change your life. You'll never look at peanut butter the same. And if you are sad or down or just need a laugh, you have like we watch it frequently.
Yes.
And we show other people when they come over.
Yes, but that first time we watched it was such a like, man, we were dying laughing and it was just so funny. But I definitely like when you have that squeal laugh that you have, I like,
and the claps and knee slaps.
Yes. It's like I love it so much and find it so endearing.
I love that. That's a good answer.
Yeah.
All right. When did you realize your marriage wasn't a perfect fairy tale?
I don't know. I think that came to me in phases. Like it was just like moments of, you know, I can't think back, you know, whether it was our first argument or whatever. I don't know. Like on the other side of marriage, but when did we realize
that it wasn't a perfect fairy tale? I feel like it happened pretty early on.
Yep.
Because I mean,
I know when I realized.
Okay, you go.
I realized when, yes, I know exactly when I realized the moment that our marriage was not a fairy tale was when I found out that we were pregnant, and in that like it wasn't our planned pregnancy. Like this idea of like everything that we do now that we're doing it together, we can plan everything, and we had this 5-year plan, and I realized like, oh, that's out the door, and we're about to create like this is real.
Right.
This is real, and I think that was definitely. Oh,
I think mine was when you rented Angry Birds on our honeymoon. But like no joke, I was like, oh,
this is real.
He literally goes to the Red Box. It's our honeymoon.
Right.
And he goes to the Red Box to pick out 2 movies.
This is crazy.
I can't remember the other one. Oh, I remember the other one.
It was Ant-Man.
Yes, and I was thinking he's going to come back with like probably one chick flick and then like one for him or like 2 that we would like. And he gets back in the car.
I'm with you on this. I look back on that moment. I'm with you. I'm like, what was I thinking?
And he rented Angry Birds and Ant-Man. And I remember being like so confused.
I did.
Like what the?
And I'm pretty sure I watched both of those movies by myself.
I think I came out halfway through.
Oh yeah, you
Angry
did.
Birds.
You did. Yeah.
But I was angry.
Yeah. Yeah. And you just snuggled up right next to me and yeah. I could see why that would end a fairy tale. Yeah.
But I think back to your point of getting pregnant really early on in marriage. I think the honeymoon bubble popped pretty quickly. 1, because we got pregnant really, really fast. And 2, because in our first year of marriage is when all of my insecurities started spewing out, which feel very non-fairy tale like.
Yeah.
When all of a sudden I'm feeling super insecure, super triggered,
stuff is
super
coming
not,
out.
yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
And so I think we felt very alone and just, it didn't feel like a fairy tale. We had to face real life pretty quick.
Yeah.
And you were working 3 jobs and none of that stuff happens in fairy tales. Don't they have like, they both have really great jobs and.
Or they somehow don't work but make money.
Right. That was not the case. Real life got real pretty quickly.
Yeah. But then I think over time, when you build some foundational pieces like trust and man, our kids are y'all.
There are 6 kids out there.
These mics are
There's a babysitter,
good, so you might not.
It's not just them,
but like the floor is like vibrating, like as our kids.
You can hear it through
around.
it. I've listened to it on a podcast before.
Yeah. But I don't even remember what I was saying. We were just talking about the fairy tale. Oh, basically I was going to say something that made it sound like our marriage isn't sad. But it's fine.
No.
I just kind of want to leave people on the cliffhanger of marriage not being a fairy tale.
The best years of our marriage have been the recent ones. And it's not the same for everybody. Lots of people have those. I mean, I don't even like the idea of the honeymoon phase, but I think you get to choose that, but I also think there's just realistically all of those love chemicals, which are very biological and it's very real, that all those chemicals coursing through your brains and your body create a honeymoon phase like feeling.
Is it for bonding?
Lots of oxytocin, serotonin, dopamine, and all of that stuff shields you from reality, which is why people do drugs, because it's increased amounts of those
like a bubble
chemicals.
Of time it's almost like a newborn baby, that really special space. You just give me eyes. All right, we're just gonna
you mean
going.
when they're not sleeping and when they cry?
I said a newborn, or no, I think I meant a fetus, like in the womb.
Oh,
like when it's in that sacred space of growth and development, and it's getting so many nutrients and all of these things, and it's like the perfect world.
Yeah, it's exactly like that.
Oh, great. Yeah, I'm good at these things. Okay, so let's go to the next question.
Did you do premarital counseling?
Yes. This kind of goes into a little bit from that fairy tale. I think we went through and sifted through a lot of mud to have what we have today. Mm-hmm. And premarital, the reason I love it, I don't think our premarital benefited us as much as I would hope for it to benefit people now. Because
we didn't do it with a counselor.
Nor did we do it with like people that were in our lives. That
we just basically watched like a video series, did a workbook,
and then had like a couple of meetings, and that was about it for premarital.
But not people we felt comfortable opening up, and I don't even think me or you or I were really good at doing that very well at that time,
especially as a couple.
Right.
I mean, we had like one person, was it Melissa Casey, that like would meet with us and call out craziness and help us. But the reason I would say it's such a value, one is because we're seeing so many friends do it right now. And our closest friends do a lot of premarital with people. Mm-hmm. And so we get to see kind of firsthand even like the value of it. And we're doing some premarital with some people, and you. I think a lot of times people do premarital in hopes to like be perfectly ready,
or they just do it to
wedding.
check off the box,
or to check off the box, whatever culture you're in, or whatever it is. My thing is, premarital is amazing. I think it's important, but having a lifestyle, I think it gives you a idea of what letting people in on your relationship can look like for the rest of your marriage.
Right. More than premarital, it should just be ongoing.
Right. And
counseling.
So it's almost like a training ground for like, man, this is what we want to start doing.
Right.
Because you realize in premarital, things start coming up and you're like, oh shoot, I get married in 6 months and I didn't even know this thing was a real thing in my life. And now I feel like I just took 7 steps back when we're about to get married. Right. And you can almost have this freak out. But the reality is, hey, that has already been there. You're now just coming into a space where you can expose it and see, okay, what am I actually working with? Not so that I can be disappointed or so that I can be afraid of my wedding day, but so that I can see what are we working with?
Right. And having people to walk you through marriage, before marriage, during marriage, all throughout,
right,
gives you another set of eyes, ears, and hearts that are invested into your marriage. Because for us, when we were dating, we thought we were experts at dating,
right,
and we would even meet with other dating couples who were dating at the time when we were dating, because our eyes were the only ones on our relationship, minus friends and stuff, but all of our friends were single. And so counseling gave other eyes, ears, and hearts into our relationship, where they could see stuff that we couldn't see, call out stuff that we couldn't see, but also create that accountability in our marriage. And we've seen people all throughout our marriage now. So we did premarital counseling, but that wasn't a game changer for me, because I don't think it actually set us up.
But again, I don't think we had premarital counseling, like the essence of what that could offer. We didn't do that.
Right.
So when it comes to premarital, our experience was not premarital. So premarital is what I look at it like is you are meeting, for a certain amount of times or set aside times to talk about your family dynamics. You're talking about some things that you feel like you've been facing or struggling with as you've been engaged. Some of the things that you feel like you've been doing really well, and you're talking with an experienced couple that has done a lot of life, that loves marriage, that has a healthy marriage. Right. And something that you can pull from, so that, man, we're about to get married. Marriage is vulnerable. It's opening up. We're about to enter into another phase of commitment, the greatest commitment on earth. Right. We are about to step into that. And so, man, we want to do the best that we can to be able to see, man, are there some things that we have some blind spots? Are there some things that we can see before we get to the other side? But
the reality is that not all that stuff is going to come up before you're married, because premarital, you're not married yet. So there's only a certain level of intimacy, trust, and connection that you've built with each other. Yeah. And a lot of that stuff doesn't come up till afterwards.
Yeah. And I think it just minimized some of the blindsidedness of like, man, I was not expecting that, versus, oh man, we talked about this in premarital, talked about this could be a thing.
And but I'm saying that it's not just premarital. I'm saying that you have those people or people on the other side of premarital who are also walking you through it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So
that's our long answer.
Yep.
Did you ever break up while dating?
No, we did not. But I wanted to. I wanted to kick it to the curve. Curve. Yes.
I never wanted to break up with you, but you wanted to break up with me.
Yeah, I never told you that until like when we were married.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, but the main reason was because I thought you were crazy.
What?
Not crazy. Sorry, I thought that you were more of a mess than you were not a mess.
Right. Wait, what were some of those red flags?
You've
never actually fully told me why you wanted to
All
break
right,
up with
let's
me.
talk about it right now. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it with the people. This is what we do. Undoing the complex. I remember one of the main ones. Actually, this wasn't even like a big deal. This was because I was just like, me. Was because of your schooling.
Oh, because I was more
You're-
educated than you?
No. I wasn't insecure about that.
Oh.
No, you giving more time to that than you were to us
Right.
dating. Like I felt like we didn't go on a lot of like, man, let's actually like date and have fun, because you were like, I gotta type up this paper and I gotta do this thing and I got this class. And
Which,
then-
to be
and
fair, before we
this is
started
the thing.
dating, we
Yes.
prefaced it with
And you
that.
communicated that to me, but who says, hey, my schooling is more important than you before we do this?
An
But I would
Enneagram
love to-
3.
Yes,
doing a master's
exactly.
degree.
And so that very Enneagram 3 is what almost caused me to kick it to the curb.
Wait, because I wasn't paying enough attention to you?
Exactly. Yes. If
get
we're
that.
dating and we're discovering who we are, we're saying like, man, I wanna learn you and you learn me and we
Right.
get to hang out and have fun together. I was disappointed with that, but I never really said it. I was just trying to be, the man, which I realized that I was not being a man. I was actually sacrificing something that was a value of mine. And so that was a whole different story. But like that was actually almost one of the reasons why I was like, I don't know if I can do this.
Right.
Like I'm not having fun right now. I'm not enjoying
I wasn't
this.
very fun.
Yeah.
I was very serious, very schooling has to come
Yeah.
first, but at all costs, like very black or white.
Yeah. And I would say the moments where we had fun and where we spent time together, I loved it so much.
Right.
Like the moments that we laughed together or when we had friends, like you instantly connected with my guy friends, which was like so special for me because I was like, this girl can hang. Like she can hang. And so those moments, I held on to those when I was like debating.
Wait,
man,
but what
should
about
I-
the crazy part?
what was
Was it because I was really insecure?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because I imagine the person that I would marry would be, confident and like that actually believes in themselves
Right.
beyond my belief. Because it was easy for me to believe in you. It was easy for me to see what was on
Right.
your life. But
Because you were one of the first people who verbally expressed continually how much you believed in me. And so
Yeah.
then you almost became my
right,
source
and I didn't want to become that.
for that.
Yes, and I didn't want to become that, and so like in those moments, I think it was just like, man, is she gonna ever believe in herself?
Right.
And that for me was definitely a scary thing because I was just like, oh, I have this idea of like I don't want to just be the life of the party, and then my wife is like, back in the corner saying that she'll support whatever I do. I didn't want that.
Right.
Like I wanted like, man, we're gonna run together.
Which
Like,
we had to figure that out in marriage.
yeah, we did. But how I wanted my marriage to look was I had seen marriages that were like, husband's in the front and wife is, I don't know. Like,
Right. And I didn't want to be that either.
yeah, but I would have never known that when
Right.
we were dating. That would have never, that's why I'm like, man, thank God for who he is.
I was going to say, for what?
Thank
people,
God. Thank
for
God for
clarity.
Because I had this small sense of like, man, if she could get over this, I feel like what I see is there.
Right.
Like what I see of who she could be, like,
Because I had
And
a
then-
lot of dysfunctional belief systems about myself.
yeah.
And because of the things
You
that
didn't
I
believe in
believed
yourself.
about
I
myself.
mean, I remember like it was even hard for you to even dream. Like you
Oh,
didn't
I
even know how to dream. I was like,
thought
what?
dreaming was you get your degree and then you get your master's degree, then you get your PhD.
Right. You just go
That's
down
your
the
dream.
line. Yeah. But I remember a big moment was actually Melissa Casey, who was a pastor in our
mentor.
environment, and she chose you. And I remember, I didn't tell you this, but that was actually a really big moment for me because I was like, okay, I'm not crazy. Somebody else sees it.
Right.
Like somebody else sees who she could be. And I think that was really encouraging for me, that I didn't feel like I was the only one just like having this, pipe dream, a fantasy idea of this girl who I was dating.
But that's the thing about belief systems, because even when I got chosen by her and chosen by you and
You
different things that
struggled.
were, I still, those were always exceptions to the rule. Because the rule in my mind was, I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. You'll eventually not want to be with me. All these kinds of beliefs that would keep me stuck in these cycles of needing you to affirm me all the time,
Yeah.
needing you to tell me that I was good enough.
Yeah, and those were the very things that like almost caused me to break up
Right.
with you. It was like, this is too like you're needing things from me that like you should have
Right.
within yourself to some extent.
Which those didn't get worked out till we were married.
Yeah, and I remember for me it was like, okay, so now I'm at a crossroad where I could choose you when you're not at your best. I could choose you right now before you are, this person that I see. And I remember asking myself, like, what do I need to continue dating? And I remember it was one thing,
What?
that you were willing to face those things. And I remember, I don't think I've ever told you this.
Just
I
lay it all
remember I was talking to the Lord and I was like, if she's willing to like face her stuff, cause like for me, I was like, I'm willing. Like I know, and we've seen this in our marriage. Like I've made messes. I've like done horrible like things to myself, and not like horrible things as in like, self-sabotage or whatever. But like I've always known like, oh, I'm willing to face hard things, and I have done that. But we're getting to know each other, and I'm like, man, is she willing? Because if she is, then there's nothing that we can face that, or nothing that she can face that she won't be able to overcome if she's willing to face it. And I remember we were having a conversation, and you said a phrase, you said something, but you're like, I'm willing to go after this. And I remember I was like, this is the girl. This is it. I'm sticking this through. And I think that was like a big point, because there's nothing more harder than a person who is not willing to face what they see in their life. That's
Right.
a problem. That I think that's a pet peeve of mine. Like if somebody sees where they're not, healthy, or they see where they're not, but they're unwilling to actually go after it.
Right.
And I think that would have been a deal breaker. Like if you were way more apathetic about it, and if you were way more like, yeah, I'm just, woe is me, and I'm gonna be here forever, and that's it.
I mean, I definitely felt that powerlessness often in my life. I had a very external, what they call in psychology, an external locus of control, which meant like everything externally defined how I showed up in life. If somebody liked me, if things were going well for me, then I was doing great, but I didn't know how to create that inside of myself. And so me saying I'm willing to go after this was me saying I'm going to choose to not let powerlessness control my life. And I didn't actually know at the time really what it looked like to go after it. But putting in the work and being willing to ask for help and go after those cycles, because I was stuck in a lot of cycles because of my belief systems.
Yeah. And now we're saying this, it sounds like it was the Chantel Messi show during our dating. Well, if that was the case, then it was the Dante Messi show in our marriage. So
I'm okay with the Chantal Messi show. I was telling someone the other day who's getting married just how messy I was dating, but especially in our first year of marriage, because marriage didn't solve my insecurity.
It only pressed on them all.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I felt even more insecure and more not chosen, which could sound backwards.
But then what did you do?
I went to counseling every single week for 18 months.
Yeah. Yep.
And I faced the things in my life that weren't bringing the fruit that I wanted to see. And I did hard things and went after it.
And you journaled like crazy.
I have so many journals.
I remember you would literally tell me almost every day that what the Holy Spirit said something to you. Do you remember this?
Was that after I had a baby?
I
guess it was part of that was in that season.
I remember saying to you, babe, do you realize you've come to me like every day with something that he's spoken to you, and now, and I'm physically seeing how your choices are changing, and how your responses to life and things coming up are changing as you're having these moments. So it was pretty crazy to even just watch that. And so, yeah.
We veered very far from the question, but
Yeah.
that was, did you ever break up while dating? Let's do one more.
Okay.
And that's
Great.
part one.
Great.
Oh, who had the hardest time adjusting in marriage?
All right. We're going to count to 3, and then we're going to say either me or you.
All right.
Okay. So it's going to be like 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Dante
Me.
Nelson.
Yeah.
Because you were 12 years old.
Chill. Chill.
Just kidding. Those numbers were reversed.
Baby boy.
21 years old.
Baby boy was just trying to live it up. Had my fantasy of what marriage should look like, and want to travel the world and
me stay up late and
yeah.
eat donuts together.
That was a sad thing, realizing that you would never be a night person.
I know. I remember you would say, I think about this sometimes, how you're like, as soon as, I mean, this is when we had kids, but as soon as you shut the door to their room, you are like, you scurry around in the bathroom and you're like getting your contacts out and you're brushing your teeth and you're getting your jammies, and there's like no time to connect because you're such a morning person that you just start winding down right after.
You would be gone. Like, I would be like, what about me? What about me?
Listen, that first year of marriage, I sacrificed so much of my sleep to hang out with you.
Yeah,
we watched
shows.
How many seasons of Lost in that season? We ate how many cookies at 11 p.m.?
Right. Yeah, we did. It was short-lived. I enjoyed it. But yeah, I definitely had a harder time adjusting to a new life of responsibility, sacrifice, not thinking of myself. Especially then becoming a young dad. So actually being, what I need to be to my son, being present with responsibilities and with family, prioritizing time and energy with family. That all took
And we've talked about this
years.
before, but you like literally came out of high school, did 3 years of ministry school, and then got married. So even like basic responsibility
not just that.
stuff.
Came out of high school, did 3 years of ministry school, got a full-time, worked 3 jobs, got engaged, got married, got a full-time job, became a dad. So yeah, it was a little whirlwind, and I freaking
Just had
whirled.
a hard time adjusting to the wind.
Yeah. But I would say having solid people around me, I didn't spiral and run away.
Mm-hmm.
I never had the opportunity to. Well, I had the opportunity to run away, but it would have been really hard for me to run.
I mean, apart from all that, marriage is a huge adjustment. And even talking to people recently who have recently got married and feeling, man, I wish I would have had people to process after I got married, and just the big change that comes. It's like wedding day is such a big hype. And then all of a sudden
Don't call it a hype.
I mean, hype being like it's such a beautiful, exciting, anticipatory season.
Yes.
But it is not preparing you to be married every single day for the rest of your life.
Right. But it is a very special day.
Yes.
It is.
It is. And I'm not saying it's a hype day. I'm just saying I'm speaking personally from what happened is after this day, then the next day, everybody goes back home that was visiting, everybody goes back to their normal life, and now I'm just married and there's no more hyping up. Now I have to figure out how to
your marriage is your marriage.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was, I think we both had a hard time adjusting in different ways.
Yeah. But like I think my adjustment was like I didn't realize that we're building a life.
Right.
Like we're not just like married and we get to have sex and we get to connect and have fun together.
We don't have to say bye to each other.
We don't have to say bye to each other, which are all like amazing perks, But I didn't realize like, we're building a life together.
Right.
Like we're building a legacy. Like there's more to this in it, and the amount of intentionality that this requires is it takes all of us, all of me to bring to this relationship. And I think that reality came in phases.
Right.
Of like, oh, this is like I'm bringing all of me, and if I got things that are going on inside of me that is causing our marriage to suffer, then I have to face those things. Whereas when you're single, you got things that are, messing up your life, or things that are dragging you, or whatever it is. You really, to some extent, you're not really affecting the people around you. What am I trying to say? When you're single and you make messes, or you do things, or you're struggling internally, it really just affects you. Of course, it affects your community and the people around you. You disconnect from them, but at the end of the day, people are like, man, that sucks. But then they go home, or they go to their room, and great. When you're married and you have things come up and you choose not to face them, or the other person feels it directly.
It affects the whole atmosphere.
It affects the whole atmosphere. It affects the bedroom. Like, you're not like going to a different room. Like, we got to sleep next to each other.
Right. You don't just go home and process it with your roommates and then come back the next day.
Exactly. Like roommates, you can shut the door, or, hop in your bed and put in some headphones. But when you're married, it forces that space of, hey, what are we going to do with this life that we're building together? Right.
Which is why they often say that marriage is like a mirror. Like looking in a mirror, you see parts of yourself that you've never seen before, because now you're looking at somebody else and realizing everything that I struggle with, everything that is hard for me, everything that I haven't processed yet affects you.
Right.
And I have to face me in order to show up for you.
Yeah. And so I think, just to answer this question, I was the one who struggled the most, and because I had a lot of fantasy ideas of what I thought marriage was, and of my own life. I think I had to face a lot more pain than I thought I had. I think marriage brought up things in me that I chose to be in denial about, and until it literally just erupted and caused either messes or caused me to disconnect and have to figure out what was going on inside of me. And I think that the reality of, getting married is one of the most beautiful things that you could do, but it's also one of the most challenging things that you are saying yes to. You are saying yes to building a life beyond yourself, and what that is, what it demands of you is all of you, but the reward is what we have right now,
right, and what we're building, and continue to build.
And it's fun. It is fun when you have good foundational work done, and you get to build and create together and run together. But it's hard. Like, we had a conversation right before this Zoom, or not Zoom call, right before this podcast. We had a conversation because we needed to connect. Like, it's not just black and white where you're just like robotic, but it is a lot of fun though.
And it's a laying your life down, and people don't fully know the cost of laying your life down, and
until you're laying that thing down.
Yes.
When you're realizing like, I got to include this into the package. This doesn't just get kept over there.
Unless we can't move as fast as I want to.
Unless you sign prenuptials. I should have signed prenuptials.
We don't have any money. We didn't have any money.
Didn't even have anything to.
Like, what would you be getting?
Oh,
my Air Force Ones.
Yes. But yeah, and that's why we believe in a biblical marriage. The two became one, and Jesus be the center of it all. That was it. I meant that, but I just said that as a joke. So
on that note, we are going to close off part 1 of this Q&A.
Yes.
And next week we got some more juicy questions lots about marriage, about family, an exercise routine, maybe.
Yeah, I got one.
Oh, you have an exercise routine?
Yeah.
What is it? Getting out of bed in the morning?
I do one crunch in the morning.
That's a dad joke.
I do one crunch and I'm done. Done.
All right,
babe.
you
I'm
won't
gonna
be
get it
hearing
back
from
though.
him. Baby, I've been hearing this for 6
My
years.
exercise journey will return.
6 years.
My
we've been
body.
talking about his
I look at my
exercise
body in the
journey.
morning. My body's like, bro, imagine what we could be.
Yeah, you could be something great.
I know.
You're good.
I know. All right. With that, thank y'all for watching Undoing the Complex or
Or
listening
to Undoing the Complex. We love you guys.
appreciate you guys.
We'll be back.
Bye.